John, coming off back-to-back wins, obviously you guys have had some fits and starts here recently in this stretch, but you feel like your game's coming with some of the games you've put together last five, 6 games?
Yeah. So I always say to you guys as a coach, you're always looking to improve, and I still think there's been some inconsistencies in our game, but we're certainly not tearing it apart. It's about finding results, and I thought that was a really good result our last game. Coming back from the West, Bob is out, and we found a way to get 2 huge points for ourselves.
He's back on the ice today.
Yeah, Corpy will play tonight.
Right.
Yep.
That's my question.
John, building on that, what is the relationship in your mind between consistency and then also managing momentum, building it, taking it back? How do those two interplay?
Yeah, it's a fine line of a coach wanting his team to work on its structure, to work on all the little things to get consistency, but also realizing it's a game of mistakes. And I think that's a big part of coaching, is understanding where your team's confidence is, how they feel about themselves, and not treading on that and knocking them down because you want to get more consistent there, or you tag onto that and you pick it apart. Does that hurt them as far as how they feel about themselves and playing with confidence and momentum? So that's a fine line we walk all the time as coaches. So they're certainly intertwined, and it's something you have to think about as you approach your team each and every day.
One could argue that every play is a chance to seize or lose momentum. Yeah. Are there specific instances, though, where you look at and say, we really have to hold it here?
Yeah, well, we just did it this morning. We showed video this morning about just our back checking. We got flat, and when I call flat, we're 3 behind the goal line quite a bit against, who did we play the last game? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Vegas, yes. And we play so many damn games. And we're behind the goal line, and we gave up so many odd man rushes to them for the first half of that game. We showed clip after clip here this morning of not beating them up, but explaining to them this is what we're good at, is not being flat and showing them what happens when we're not flat. It causes turnovers in the neutral zone, and that helps our transition game. So yeah, there are certain staples in your structure you work at every day. And you don't care what they think about what you're doing, whether you just have to work at certain parts of the game. And so we touch upon that. But it's when you start over-coaching and getting into more things and you try to grab a little more, does that hurt them as far as allowing them to play? I think that's a fine line we walk.
And just my final question on this, how do you feel as a whole? We talk game to game, but as a whole, how is this group doing on managing momentum specifically?
Better. That I could give you a different answer tonight, though, because we haven't been consistent. Yeah, so it goes full circle. And yeah, we still don't have that strut of when we're struggling or a team's coming back on us, or that we still get nervous. Now let's say we have an opportunity maybe to find a way to win another game tonight against a really good team. That's 3. And that's when it starts layering on you. And that's when you start feeling that you're going to get through situations in the game. I don't think we're there yet because we just have not been consistent enough with the results.
John, it's March, and you're right in a pretty grand playoff chase with a lot of other teams. Is that anything that you have to remind your players of? Hey, this is a wonderful time of year. Or is that something they just know innately, or?
Well,
you know what I mean? Frame it for the stretch.
No, but I do think you need to frame it in the right way, because I think some guys they get nervous at this time, and I think some guys see the light at the end of the tunnel and say, you know what, if we don't get in, I'm done. We're done in a few weeks here. It happens with athletes that it's been a long year, and they just want to get away. They haven't had a good year, or there's been some struggles, this and that. And they just want it to end. That happens with athletes in all sports. I try to frame it for them to, this is where you define yourself as a player in these type of stretches, and then giving you an opportunity where you definitely define yourself as a player in playoffs, getting another whack at playoffs. So I think it goes on in our room right now. I think there are probably a few players that say, man, I've had a shit year. He's been on me. It's been hard. We got to grind through this after being in last year with 11 games left. It's hard for some people, and they want to me, it's giving in. But I think for the most of that room, they want to accept this challenge. So I hope I'm answering your question correctly. I try to frame it as this is a great opportunity to see what we are. And I know my general manager, and I know are looking at people as we go through this here. Because we have to make determinations of what we really have in there sometimes as these players keep on growing.
And just one other question. What do you feel the strengths of your team are? We were so close to it on a regular basis, always look at the flaws, but either from a personnel standpoint, a positional standpoint, or a tactical or...
What are our strengths?
Yeah, what do you feel your strengths are? What's going to take you down this stretch?
I think it's, to me, our strengths I think we have some pretty good youth, and I think we have some players that really don't have a clue that where we're in right now, the innocence of it. I think that's a big strength. Sometimes people look at the experience part of it, and your experience, and you've been through this before. Sometimes it's a situation when you have some guys that really haven't gone through this, and they're having a ball doing it because they don't really understand how much pressure is involved in this here, if I'm explaining myself correctly. So, I guess I'll put it to you this way too. I hope our strength is going to be our resiliency. And it goes right back to what I started in answering this question. I am really anxious to see how some guys react here. So I'll give you a better answer in probably 3 weeks what our strengths were. If we're in it, it was through resiliency, because that's what it's going to take to find our way here.
John, on both of those topics, how much has Ian Cole added to that? A guy who has just won 2 cups, he comes in the room.
Yeah.
He's probably fed into both of those topics that you just talked about.
Yeah, he's got that beard, and him and Savvy are the kind of like the brothers there playing with one. He's got that look about him, and the thing that I think a lot of our guys can take from him right away, and you can see it in his play all the time, is he makes his decision and he goes. His pinches, he goes, and he's made some doozies that he really shouldn't have been pinching, but he's going. That's what I want to see out of our players. Again, it's a game of mistakes. I think you make more mistakes if you're in between. We're facing a team here that has some pretty good offensive people. Defense that's going to be up the ice. If we're on our heels and kind of worried and not being aggressive and trying to pin them in their end zone tonight, we're going to be in trouble. That's playing in between. That's one thing Ian does. He makes a decision on pinches. He makes a decision on his coverages. He goes, and I think that's very important for some of our guys to see.
And what makes he and Savvy work so well? I know it's only been 4 or 5 games. So what makes that pairing work?
They've just played well. I think they communicate very well. I think Savvy's one of our best communicators on the ice, and Ian is certainly right there. If the building's quiet and there's play going on, you're going to hear Ian every shift talking about something, where he is when Savvy's going back for the puck, or and on the bench too. So they have coaches. You think you can look at a piece of paper and you see what that player is and that player is, and you pair them or you put some lines together. We don't know. We're trying. You're trying and you see if something sticks. That is stuck for us.
Safe to assume that Corpy was going to go one of these 2 games tonight or tomorrow anyway. Was that going to be scheduled?
No, I wasn't sure what was going to go on. Yeah.
But based on how he played the other night, how much easier it is to give him the start, more confidence in him?
Yeah, as I said after the game, I think it was important for the team to see Corpy play that way. I think that becomes an inner confidence as far as the guys. I mean, coaches, we're just standing back there putting lines out and doing that. I think the team, it's such an important position in our game where teams play off of the goaltender. And I thought it was very important, first of all, for Corpy. He readily admits, he's very honest, that there's been some struggles, and he's had to sit on them. He doesn't get to play every night to work through it. So for him and also for the team, I think it's a good combination as we go into our next game here tonight.
Any other lineup changes?
No.
And what about Bob? Is he going to be backing up? Is he going to be suited up?
Bob will back up tonight,
okay.
yeah.
And Taylor hasn't, since he got here from Washington, hasn't played. Do you talk to him at all and just say, hey, just stay the course kind of thing?
Yeah.
Or is it too late in the year for just...
I told the team when we got our team together after the deadline, I went through the lineup. I said, this is what it is. And I think they do deserve honesty. I'm not running from every player to every player right now, and I told them I'm not going to do that now. It's not about me trying to make sure you're okay. I said this is about a team trying to get into the playoffs. I kind of laid out what the depth chart is as far as we enter here after the deadline, and was very honest where everybody stood. So, and I told them, if you need some more information, come to me. I'm not going to go looking around finding you right now. That's a big part of my job during the year when you're trying to get people going, trying to figure out what your team is. Right now, my focus is on trying to help this team get into the playoffs. And we have a lot of extras. We do. They've handled themselves very well. But I'm not going to talk to them every day. And they don't want to hear me every day, quite honestly. They don't want to hear it. Yeah, keep going. They don't want to hear that. They want to play. They know where they stand, and if we have injuries, I think they understand where it all sets as far as our depth, and I think that was very important that I gave them that information.
Talk about framing things to the players about talking earlier about maybe some guys just want to go home, whatever. Have you the whole idea that last year so many things went right when you guys went in. This year so much has gone wrong. Would it almost be you're going to finish way below point total, but to get in with all the stuff that happened this year, have you guys framed it that way at all for the players?
Yeah. This is, see, I don't think, things have gone wrong. Things go wrong every season. I think it's a National Hockey League season we're going through this year. Let's face it, there are 5 guys had career years last year. I'm not sure what's going to happen in their coming years. Are they going to be able to get those numbers again? We were healthy. Things we won when we went on the 16 games. We get 32 points in that stretch. That puts you in almost right there, just to have those in the bank. We won some games during that stretch that we didn't really deserve to win. So yeah, some things have gone wrong. I don't think guys have had, some guys we were hoping going to have good years haven't. But I don't want to frame this year as, oh my God, everything's gone wrong. This is a National Hockey League season we're going through, but we're still right in the middle of it here. This is how we have to play. We have to figure out a way to get in these type of situations if this organization is going to grow. And to me, it's an opportunity. It's a great opportunity to see what people are and see how we can build our organization with the right people as we watch them play through this.
How do you feel Foligno's done moving back to center, and what do you like about that combination with him?
I just like the line.
And Sonny.
I don't think Wenny was playing poorly when I had them together before Wenny got hurt, but when Nick was put in there, I liked the line, and they're going to stay together. Yeah, I think Nick's good for those two guys. Nick is constantly talking to him on the bench. I think he's really good for Sonny. I think Borky has really learned how to check and how hard you have to be, and I think it's helped his game. I just think it's a good combination with those three, so we're going to keep them together.
And just real quick, you mentioned the other night about how Brett has had a good influence on Pierre-Luc.
Yeah.
Do you see a similar relationship between those two as you do, say, Nick and Sonny?
Yeah, yeah, Nick, especially with his two line mates there, and not only Sonny but and Borky, because I always see him talking to him. I've kind of directed him in certain situations during the game or in a practice after, if there's been a breakdown in Sonny's game or whatever, maybe away from the puck. Nick has done a little work there. So, yeah, he is. That's part of his responsibility as far as being a captain and the old guy on that line. And I just think they've meshed well together. I don't think they really played that well the other night. I don't think a lot of our guys did. I just thought it was one of those games we found a way. But up until then, I think they've been pretty good.
Kind of building off that, the other night you said you were pretty happy with the defense pairings, the way they are looking right now. Are you starting to feel that way about the forward lines as compared to maybe earlier in the season?
I like the. I think Luke's line. I've kept them together with Cam. I think that's worked. As I said, Nick's line, I think has played pretty well. I'm still looking. It kind of takes a little balance away from me. from the other lines. You know, I'm hoping Winnie and Thomas can get a little work together and they can play off of one another. You see it in spurts. The fourth line, I like what I have there. We moved Testy in the middle the other night, put Dubio on the wing. We have two centers there. You saw how I used them. I used them a lot in the defensive zone as far as face-offs. That's kind of a utility line for me. It's Wenberg's line I'm hoping works because then I don't have to rob from Peter to pay Paul to try to get a little balance within my other three. Thanks. Okay. Thank you.